Imagine a world where a man sues his own reflection, or a woman takes her cat to court for inheritance. Welcome to the bizarre universe of law, where reality often clashes with absurdity. From cases so ridiculous they defy logic, to legal myths that everyone believes but change nothing. Today we're diving into 50 stories that will make you question everything you thought you knew about justice. Buckle up, these courtroom tales are stranger, wilder, and funnier than fiction. In 1971, the United States witnessed a lawsuit so bizarre it's still talked about in law schools. A man sued God. Gerald Mayo, from Maryland, claimed God had failed to protect him from harm. Imagine a courtroom where the defendant has no address, no lawyer, yet the case challenges our understanding of liability, faith, and logic. This case didn't change laws, but it cracked open the absurd potential lurking in legal systems, reminding us that truth, justice, and reason are sometimes left far behind. In 2008, a man in Canada tried suing a donut shop for psychological damage after he claimed their cream-filled pastry exploded in his face. Alan Kalesha argued that the traumatic experience had ruined his confidence and daily happiness. The court didn't award him a dime, but the story went viral, illustrating how the line between legitimate grievance and ridiculous claim can vanish. This absurdity reflects how human creativity and law can produce outcomes stranger than fiction, leaving judges shaking their heads in disbelief. In India, 2014, a woman filed a lawsuit against her husband for insufficient love and attention. The court, faced with a deeply personal complaint framed as a legal claim, had to weigh emotional neglect against tangible harm. Though it was dismissed, the case exposed the surreal intersection of emotion and legality, revealing that courts occasionally become theaters for human vulnerability, obsession, and the bizarre, where feelings are dragged into the rigid machinery of statutes, and the absurd becomes a real, public spectacle. In 2001, a British man tried to sue his parents for being born. Yes, literally claiming wrongful life. The case, brought by a man in London, argued that his existence caused suffering and economic burden. Though it was rejected, the courtroom discussion plunged deep into ethics, philosophy, and the nature of existence itself. This case didn't rewrite law, but it exposed humanity's obsession with blame and absurdity, questioning whether legal systems are prepared to confront the ultimate paradox, suing life itself for merely existing. In 2012, in Germany, a man sued his own reflection, claiming it caused emotional distress every morning. Mr. Fritz argued that seeing himself in mirrors inflicted psychological harm. Judges listened politely before dismissing the case, yet the story spread worldwide, highlighting the absurd extremes human imagination can reach within the legal system. From Berlin to Munich, lawyers shared bemused chuckles over this case, proving that sometimes law becomes a canvas for existential humor, where self-perception and statutory rules collide in inconceivable, hilarious ways. In 1995, in France, a woman filed a lawsuit against God, not metaphorically but literally, claiming divine negligence caused her suffering. The court predictably dismissed the case, but it ignited discussions on religion, law, and absurdity. From Paris to Lyon, debates swirled about accountability beyond human jurisdiction. While no legal precedent changed, this story exposed a surreal truth. Humans will attempt the impossible in courts, blending faith, frustration, and folly, proving that the boundary between reality and absurdity is often arbitrarily defined by legal systems, not logic. In 2009, an Australian man sued a brewery after he fell asleep while drinking their beer and woke up in a river with minor injuries. He claimed the beer had caused unexpected drowsiness leading to his accident. The court laughed but took notes. Though dismissed, it became an iconic cautionary tale, illustrating that the pursuit of justice sometimes spirals into comedy. This story reminds us that legal systems, from Sydney to Melbourne, occasionally host acts of creativity, bravado, and absurd entitlement, challenging the very seriousness of law. In 1983, in the United States, a man named Roy Pearson sued a dry cleaner for $67 million over a lost pair of pants. Claiming emotional trauma and breach of contract, Pearson's case became a national spectacle. Media coverage turned him into a symbol of litigious absurdity. While he eventually lost, The trial exposed how personal grievances, inflated by imagination and law, can escalate into outrageous courtroom dramas. This case remains a chilling example of how obsession, pride, and absurdity can warp justice into a theater of the bizarre. In 2015 in Japan, a man sued a convenience store for mental suffering after buying expired food. Claiming psychological trauma, he demanded damages for the stress caused. Courts quickly dismissed the claim, but the absurdity captivated the media. Tokyo's streets buzzed with disbelief at the notion of suing over minor inconvenience, showing that even in highly organized legal systems, humans can concoct grievances so strange they border on surreal art forms, where rules collide with imagination in hilarious, perplexing, and uniquely human ways. In 2007, in Italy, a man attempted to sue the entire city of Rome because pigeons defecated on his property. Claiming public nuisance and health risks, he sought millions in damages. Judges sighed but had to review the claim before rejecting it. Though absurd, the case raised serious questions about urban life, legal responsibility, and human patience. From Venice to Naples, lawyers and citizens alike marveled at how imagination can escalate minor inconveniences into epic legal battles, proving that absurdity in law transcends nations and cultures. In 2010, a man in the United States sued his own doctor for giving him a bad haircut during a minor medical procedure. Claiming emotional trauma and public humiliation, he dragged the case through courts in New York. Judges shook their heads at the surreal complaint, yet the case highlighted the extremes of human imagination in legal claims. While no law changed, it exposed a bizarre truth. In the labyrinth of statutes, even vanity can become a weapon in litigation, transforming courts into theaters of absurdity. In 1998, in India, a man filed a lawsuit against a train company for making him late to his own wedding. He claimed mental distress and sought damages for lost joy and opportunity. Though the court rejected the claim, the case became legendary in Indian legal circles. It illustrated how human obsession with punctuality, honor, and social expectation can spiral into the absurd. From Delhi to Mumbai, lawyers recounted it as a cautionary tale. Even love and weddings cannot escape the strange extremes of legal imagination. In 2003, in Canada, a woman sued her neighbor for emotional trauma caused by loud laughter. Her claim argued that excessive happiness disturbed her peace and mental equilibrium. While the courts dismissed it quickly, the story highlighted the bizarre potential of law to intersect with personal sensitivities. From Toronto to Vancouver, the case became a quirky example of human entitlement, showing that in legal systems, almost any grievance, no matter how subjective, trivial, or ridiculous, can be framed as a serious claim if one's imagination runs wild enough. In 2011, a man in the United Kingdom tried suing a restaurant for emotional suffering after being served cold soup. Claiming psychological distress and humiliation, he sought financial compensation. Courts swiftly rejected the claim, but the story spread across London tabloids as a surreal example of litigious obsession. From pubs in Manchester to cafes in Edinburgh, lawyers joked about the case, but it highlighted an unsettling truth. The legal system can be manipulated to chase perceived injustices that border on absurdity, transforming ordinary complaints into theatrical spectacles. In 2005, in Australia, a man sued an airline after he missed his flight due to getting lost in the airport. Claiming mental anguish and lost opportunities, he demanded thousands in compensation. Judges dismissed the case, yet the story became a cautionary tale across Sydney, Melbourne, and Perth. It revealed the extremes of human creativity and entitlement in litigation, showing that legal systems, designed to protect rights, can occasionally host claims so strange they appear as absurdist art, blending logic, frustration, and imagination into courtroom theater. In 2013, in Germany, a man sued a public statue for insulting him. Walking past a controversial sculpture in Berlin, he claimed the artwork caused emotional trauma and violated his dignity. Courts rejected the claim, but the absurdity of attempting to litigate against inanimate stone became legendary. From Hamburg to Munich, the story symbolized the collision of personal pride, artistic expression, and law. It illustrated that even in highly structured legal frameworks, Imagination can push boundaries, and absurdity can creep into the solemn chambers of justice. In 2000, in France, a man sued a bakery for selling bread that was too crusty. Claiming emotional distress and psychological damage, he demanded compensation for his suffering. While the courts dismissed the claim, the story circulated widely in Parisian cafes and law schools alike. It highlighted the surreal extremes of legal creativity, showing that even minor inconveniences can be framed as disasters if one's imagination is unrestrained. This bizarre tale proved that absurdity is not confined to any single country. It thrives wherever humans dare to exploit the law. In 2009, in Italy, a man sued his wife for being too beautiful, claiming it caused him emotional suffering due to jealousy and social pressure. While the court ultimately dismissed the case, it stunned judges in Rome and Milan alike. The story highlighted the bizarre intersections of human emotion, relationships, and legal absurdity. It revealed that law sometimes becomes a stage for private insecurities, obsessions, and imagination, where the intangible, jealousy, admiration, vanity, can be grotesquely exaggerated into a formal complaint, leaving spectators both bewildered and amused. In 2016, in Japan, a man sued a vending machine company after it failed to deliver a drink, claiming mental suffering and lost productivity. Though the court swiftly dismissed the claim, media outlets in Tokyo and Osaka shared it widely. The absurdity illustrated how ordinary frustration can morph into legal action and how human creativity in law can be as unpredictable as it is comical. It reminded the world that even highly organized, rule-bound societies are not immune to bizarre litigation, where the mundane is elevated to courtroom drama. In 2007, in the United States, a man filed a lawsuit against a fast food chain for serving coffee that was too hot, long before the famous McDonald's case. He claimed third-degree burns to his dignity and mental anguish. The court dismissed the claim, yet the story became a cautionary tale, illustrating how humans can manipulate legal systems to dramatize trivial harms. From Chicago to Los Angeles, it inspired debates about responsibility, absurdity, and the sometimes comical limits of justice in a world increasingly fascinated by litigation over imagination. In 2014, in the United Kingdom, a man sued a zoo after a parrot allegedly insulted him repeatedly. Claiming emotional distress and reputational damage, he demanded financial compensation. The court dismissed it, yet London tabloids and legal forums erupted with laughter. From Birmingham to Edinburgh, this case became a classic example of human creativity stretched to absurd extremes. It revealed that law, meant to protect rights and dignity, can be twisted into theater, where even squawking birds can inspire lawsuits, showing the surreal potential lurking in justice. In 2002, in the United States, a woman sued a clothing store because she tripped over her own shoelaces and blamed the display layout. Claiming severe emotional trauma and life disruption, she demanded compensation in Chicago. The court laughed but reviewed the case. Though dismissed, it spread across national media as an emblem of absurdity. This story demonstrates how humans can exploit legal systems to dramatize everyday accidents, transforming minor mishaps into epic courtroom narratives that reveal the fragile boundary between logic, entitlement, and imagination. In 1999, in Germany, a man filed a lawsuit against a public library for failing to provide sufficient silence. Claiming that ambient noise caused him stress and impaired his reading, he demanded damages. Courts rejected the case, but Berlin and Frankfurt law circles buzzed with astonishment. The absurdity highlighted how expectations, perception, and law collide in unexpected ways. Even highly structured societies with disciplined legal frameworks are vulnerable to bizarre claims when human imagination and obsession push ordinary situations into surreal legal territory. In 2006, in Canada, a man sued a fast food chain after he claimed a burger made him emotionally ill because it lacked proper condiments. From Toronto to Calgary, the case became legendary for its sheer absurdity. Courts dismissed the claim, yet media attention immortalized it as a cautionary tale of human creativity gone wild. It revealed a disturbing, yet comical, truth. In legal systems, even trivial dissatisfaction can be framed as suffering, showing the strange elasticity of justice when challenged by imagination and obsession. In 2011, in Australia, a man sued a supermarket because he claimed the aisles caused him psychological trauma from slipping on invisible hazards. From Sydney to Brisbane, the case became a viral symbol of absurdity. Courts dismissed the lawsuit, but it highlighted the extremes of litigious culture, where minor incidents are exaggerated into catastrophic grievances. The story reminds us that the legal system, designed for justice, can occasionally become a stage for human paranoia, creativity, and humor, turning the mundane into spectacularly bizarre courtroom spectacles. In 2015, in Japan, a man attempted to sue a pachinko arcade because the noise allegedly caused mental distress and migraines. Tokyo courts quickly rejected the claim, but the media spotlighted the absurdity nationwide. From Osaka to Kyoto, the story amused citizens and lawyers alike. It demonstrated how legal imagination can turn ordinary inconvenience into a formal complaint, showing that even highly disciplined societies cannot escape absurd litigation, and proving that human creativity in law often thrives in the collision between frustration, entitlement, and surreal logic. In 2003, in France, a woman sued a perfume company claiming emotional suffering because the fragrance reminded her of an ex-lover. Courts dismissed the claim, yet Parisian newspapers buzzed with disbelief. From Lyon to Marseille, the story symbolized the strange intersection of personal sentiment and law. It revealed that emotions, imagination, and human obsession can infiltrate legal proceedings, producing absurd cases that make lawyers, judges, and citizens question the boundaries of litigation, and proving that the courtroom is sometimes a theater for the surreal theater of human mind and feelings. In 2008, in Italy, a man sued a movie theater because the plot of a horror film allegedly traumatized him. From Rome to Florence, the case became an infamous example of absurd litigation. Courts rejected the claim, yet debates erupted over freedom of expression versus perceived emotional harm. This story illustrates that law can become a battleground for personal sensitivity, imagination, and obsession, where ordinary entertainment transforms into a legal grievance, revealing the bizarre and unexpected ways human perception and creativity can manipulate judicial systems. In 2012, in the United States, a man sued a coffee shop claiming that too much caffeine caused him insomnia, anxiety, and life disruption. From Los Angeles to New York, the case baffled judges and lawyers alike. Courts dismissed the claim, but media coverage immortalized it as a symbol of excessive litigious imagination. It demonstrates how human creativity, entitlement, and obsession can push minor discomfort into formal lawsuits, showing that absurdity is not accidental in law. It's an inevitable side effect of combining human emotion, imagination, and legal procedure. In 2000, in the United Kingdom, a man sued a council because pigeons allegedly stole his sandwiches from a public park. Claiming financial loss and emotional suffering, he demanded compensation. Courts dismissed the case, yet tabloids from London to Manchester shared it as a bizarre example of absurdity in law. The story highlighted that humans can manipulate legal systems to exaggerate minor grievances, transforming the ordinary into surreal spectacle. It revealed a universal truth. Wherever humans and laws meet, absurdity finds fertile ground to flourish. In 2013, in the United States, a man sued his own neighbor for emotional harm after the neighbor's dog barked too much. Claiming stress, sleep loss, and mental anguish, he sought compensation in Los Angeles. The court dismissed the case, yet the story became a viral example of absurdity. From New York to Chicago, lawyers laughed at the surreal complaint. It demonstrated how ordinary disturbances can be exaggerated into courtroom battles, revealing that human imagination, obsession, and entitlement often collide with the rigid rules of law in hilariously unexpected ways. In 2004, in Germany, a man filed a lawsuit against his city because the streetlights disturbed his sleep. From Berlin to Hamburg, the case became a symbol of litigious absurdity. Courts quickly rejected the claim, yet the story sparked debates on urban planning, public responsibility, and personal sensitivity. It revealed that even structured, efficient legal systems cannot escape the surreal possibilities of human imagination, where minor annoyances are elevated to legal catastrophes and everyday life becomes fodder for courtroom absurdity. In 2009, in Canada, a man sued a hotel for mental suffering after his room overlooked a noisy construction site. Claiming lost peace and insomnia, he demanded financial compensation. Toronto and Vancouver courts dismissed the case, yet it became a cautionary tale for litigants and lawyers alike. This story highlighted the extremes of entitlement and imagination in law, showing that even mundane inconveniences can be framed as severe harm, transforming legal systems into stages for surreal human obsession, absurd creativity, and battles over minor discomforts blown outrageously out of proportion. In 2011, in the United Kingdom, a man sued a railway company after missing his train because a squirrel blocked the tracks. Claiming life disruption and mental anguish, he sought damages. Courts dismissed the claim, yet London tabloids laughed at the bizarre complaint. From Manchester to Edinburgh, the story illustrated that human imagination can convert trivial events into legal battles, showing the absurd potential of law when reality, obsession, and entitlement collide, and reminding the world that courts can sometimes become arenas for surreal theater rather than strict justice. In 2007, in France, a man sued a theater for emotional distress after a play's tragic ending reminded him of his deceased cat. Courts in Paris and Lyon dismissed the case, yet the surreal story fascinated media and lawyers alike. It revealed how personal grief, imagination, and legal obsession can combine to produce absurd litigation. Even structured legal systems can become stages for human eccentricity, where private emotion transforms into formal complaints, demonstrating that absurdity is not accidental. It thrives wherever rules meet deeply personal, exaggerated human perceptions. In 2015, in Australia, a woman sued a taxi company after she claimed the driver offended her psychic aura with rude behavior. From Sydney to Melbourne, the case became a viral sensation for its absurdity. Courts dismissed it, yet the story revealed the extremes of human creativity in law, where metaphysical beliefs and minor grievances collide. This surreal legal claim illustrated that entitlement, imagination, and obsession can transform even mundane interactions into courtroom drama, proving that the absurd is a persistent shadow in every legal system around the world. In 2002, in Japan, a man sued a sushi restaurant after claiming psychological damage because his wasabi was too spicy. Tokyo and Osaka courts dismissed the claim, yet the story became famous nationwide. It highlighted the strange intersections of personal expectation, imagination, and law, showing that even ordinary culinary experiences can become fodder for absurd litigation. Human creativity, entitlement, and obsession can convert the mundane into a surreal legal spectacle, proving that no matter how orderly the system, absurdity finds ways to infiltrate the solemnity of justice. In 2006, in Italy, a man sued a gelato shop because the flavor he ordered did not match his childhood memory. From Rome to Milan, the case was quickly dismissed, yet it became legendary in Italian media. It revealed that nostalgia, imagination, and obsession can infiltrate legal proceedings, producing claims so absurd they inspire laughter and disbelief. Courts, designed to mediate real disputes, sometimes become theaters for surreal human creativity, where the intangible, memory, expectation, sentiment, collides with statutes, creating legal absurdity that transcends reason and logic. In 2010, in the United States, a man sued a television network because a reality show allegedly caused emotional harm by depicting contestants behaving poorly. From Los Angeles to New York, the case was dismissed, yet it sparked debates on media influence, personal sensitivity, and legal responsibility. The story illustrated how law can be stretched to absurdity when imagination, obsession, and perceived grievance intersect, revealing a surreal truth. Courts are sometimes arenas for human creativity, entitlement, and humor, where reality and absurdity merge into dramatic legal theater. In 2014, in Canada, a man sued a supermarket after claiming that the smell of baked bread caused him psychological discomfort. From Toronto to Vancouver, courts dismissed the case, yet it became a classic example of legal absurdity. It highlighted how human imagination, minor grievances, and entitlement can escalate mundane experiences into courtroom battles. Even in highly organized legal systems, law can be transformed into surreal theater, where ordinary life collides with obsession and creativity, producing cases so bizarre they challenge the limits of logic, reason, and common sense. In 2008, in the United Kingdom, a man sued a coffee shop after claiming the ambient music caused him psychological trauma. From London to Glasgow, courts dismissed the case, yet the story went viral as an emblem of absurd litigation. It revealed how human sensitivity, imagination, and entitlement can transform ordinary experiences into legal battles. Even highly structured systems cannot prevent surreal claims, showing that absurdity thrives wherever law intersects with perception, proving that courts sometimes become stages for eccentricity rather than justice. In 2012, in Germany, a man filed a lawsuit against a traffic light, claiming it caused him emotional stress every day. From Berlin to Munich, judges rejected the claim, yet newspapers highlighted the bizarre complaint nationwide. The case revealed the extremes of human imagination and entitlement, showing that legal systems, no matter how structured, can be challenged by trivial grievances turned epic. It proved that absurdity is universal. When human perception, obsession, and law collide, reality itself becomes a canvas for surreal courtroom theater. In 2005, in Canada, a man sued a cell phone company because the ringtone of a neighbor's phone interfered with his meditation. From Toronto to Montreal, courts dismissed the case, yet it captivated public imagination. This surreal claim highlighted how obsession, entitlement, and imagination can transform minor annoyances into formal legal battles. It revealed a universal truth. Wherever humans interact with rules and regulations, absurdity lurks, waiting to transform the mundane into courtroom drama, exposing the strange elasticity of law in the face of human creativity and neurosis. In 2010, in France, a man sued a bakery because the bread reminded him of past traumas. Courts in Paris and Lyon dismissed the case, yet it became legendary in media circles. The story illustrated how personal emotion, obsession, and imagination can invade legal systems, producing absurd claims. Even structured courts cannot escape surreal human creativity, where nostalgia, sentiment, or mental sensitivity transforms ordinary experiences into legal grievances, highlighting that absurdity is not accidental, but a recurring shadow in every judicial framework. In 2011, in Australia, a man sued a ferry company because seagulls allegedly stole his lunch, causing mental anguish. From Sydney to Melbourne, courts dismissed the case, yet media coverage immortalized it as a symbol of absurdity. This story showed that human entitlement and imagination can turn minor inconveniences into legal spectacles. Legal systems, designed to protect rights, sometimes become theaters of surreal creativity, revealing a bizarre truth. Wherever humans interact with rules, absurdity inevitably finds fertile ground to flourish, producing stories both hilarious and bewildering. In 2013, in Japan, a man sued a pachinko parlor because the flashing lights caused migraines and ruined his concentration. Tokyo courts dismissed the case, yet it became infamous nationwide. From Osaka to Kyoto, citizens marveled at the absurdity, proving that human perception, entitlement, and imagination can convert ordinary discomfort into courtroom battles. Even disciplined societies are not immune to surreal legal claims, showing that absurdity is a persistent shadow wherever human creativity collides with the rigidity of law. In 2006, in Italy, a man sued a gelato shop because the flavor did not meet his expectations. From Rome to Milan, courts rejected the claim, yet it became legendary for sheer absurdity. The story illustrated how nostalgia, imagination, and obsession can infiltrate legal proceedings. Even structured legal systems cannot prevent minor grievances from being inflated into epic courtroom battles, proving that absurdity is an inevitable companion of human creativity and the intersection of expectation with law. In 2009, in the United States, a man sued a fast food chain because the fries were too salty, claiming emotional suffering. Courts dismissed the case, yet media coverage immortalized it as a classic example of absurd litigation. From New York to Los Angeles, It highlighted how entitlement and imagination can convert mundane experiences into courtroom drama. Legal systems, designed for serious disputes, occasionally become stages for surreal human creativity, demonstrating that absurdity thrives wherever human obsession collides with statutes and regulations. In 2014, in Canada, a woman sued a bookstore after claiming that a fictional novel triggered depression. From Toronto to Vancouver, courts dismissed the case, yet it sparked widespread discussion about literature, mental health, and legal boundaries. This absurd claim highlighted how imagination, perception, and entitlement can transform ordinary experiences into legal battles. Even disciplined legal frameworks are vulnerable to surreal claims, revealing that absurdity is a universal companion wherever law meets human psychology, creativity, and obsession. In 2012, in the United Kingdom, a man sued a public park after claiming that falling leaves caused emotional distress. From London to Edinburgh, courts dismissed the case, yet tabloids spread it as a bizarre legal story. It revealed how human imagination and entitlement can convert minor natural occurrences into courtroom grievances. The case showed that even in orderly systems, absurdity is inevitable. Law, logic, and reality collide, creating spectacles where everyday life becomes a theater of surreal human creativity and obsession.